brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. Suds, Suds, Suds. It's time for more Suds.
Welcome to Sip, Suds, and Smokes. This is a Suds episode, and it's a Family Feud episode that we have. This is part 2 of our Family Feud series on the twin brothers from Evil Twin and Mikkeller. This is good old boy Mike, and joining me for this discussion today, I have 2 co-hosts. My first co-host is good old gal Julieanna.
Hi, guys.
And good old boy Dave.
Hello.
He's having to think about it. We discuss a lot of things here on our SUDS episodes where everything good in life is worth discussing. Our SUDS segments are all about beer, and more beer, and about Dave and Julieanna.
I'm wrong. She's right. She's right. I'm wrong. You know, I mean, basic stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Our segment here today is part 2 of a segment we have on a family feud over beer. 2 brothers from Denmark, Sheppe, Jarnet, Bergso. I'm going to get it wrong at least a second time. Mikkel Bergoso is the other brother. They're passionate about beer, but they're not about each other. And
or their names.
Or their names, or the way I've butchered them, probably. It's down to the point that they rarely speak to each other. And this feud is absolutely producing some really great beer that we'll be discussing today. The beers we're having this lineup for this Family Feud series are Mikkeller's Coffee IPA, Invasion Farmhouse IPA, the Beer Geek, I forgot the name of that.
Brunch Weasel.
Beer Geek Brunch. I knew I'd get it wrong. The Doppelbock, the Black Hole IPA, and It's Alive are the beers that we have from Mikkeller to go over. Representing Team Mikkeller is going to be good old gal Julieanna.
Yes.
Boo.
And from Evil Twin, we have the following beers: Ashtray Hard, Ryan and the Beaster Bunny, Hop Flood, Yang, Imperial Biscotti Break, and the Justin Bleeber are the beers that we have. And representing Evil Twin is good old boy Dave.
Go home.
So those are the beers that we have to go over today. And we're going to revise you on our SUDS ratings that we're going to get to go. And Julieanna is going to go over our SUDS ratings for all of you.
Okay, folks. Today we'll be tasting and discussing the beers and rating them with the SUDS rating, plus our signature belching sounds. Here are those ratings now. Number 1, that sucks. Give me anything but a bud. Number 2, was that a belch?
That was not Dave.
This time.
You'll know when it's Dave.
Number 3, what a relief.
That doesn't sound a relief by Dave, but
usually it's extended
Mine's
for a very long period of time.
It's a little more throaty, you know.
Number 4, a body should really not make that sound.
that is definitely
That is Dave.
That's closer. Number 5, listen to that hang time. Give me another.
Now that's how Julieanna sounds.
And he just keeps on digging the hole.
I'm going to dig myself out one of these days.
No.
Probably not.
No.
Julieanna, thanks for going over our Sip, Suds, and Smokes ratings. So this is part 2 of a Family Feud game that we have going over these beers. We provided some background on the 2 brothers, and if you'd like to go back and listen to part 1, You'll find out a little bit more about what is going on between the two brothers and the feud and the beer that is coming out as a result of this feud. So we are in the middle of our questions and our beers to review today. We picked 6 questions to go over. We've gone over 3 in our first episode, and we have another 3 questions that we're going to go over here in this episode as well. So, Team Evil Twin, Team Mikkeller, come on down.
Yes!
All right, question number 4 in our 6-question lineup. What is the town that Mikkeller and Sheppe grew up in? Team Evil Twin.
I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's Navi.
Ooh, that is correct. Very good. Team Evil Twin.
Okay, where is it in relation to Copenhagen?
In the same country.
It is true. All right.
Wow.
It is a small town about 20 miles north of Copenhagen. So thank you very much for reading the article.
Such a nerd, Julieanna.
Thank you. That's why I picked Mikkeller.
Oh, my goodness. All right, Team Evil Twin, what beer would you like to talk about?
Well,
number 2.
He's been in the news all the time for mostly bad reasons, but I think it's time
you or someone else?
Or I think it's time we brought something good out about Justin Blabber.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're going to talk about Justin Blabber. So tell us a little bit about the style of this beer. Very different, Dave.
Well, Justin Blabber is a Berliner Weiss, which some people consider to be the most refreshing style of beer that exists. It's a very light, usually low alcohol content wheat beer from Berlin. Figure that, Berliner Weiss. And actually, when Napoleon's troops invaded, they called it the Champagne of Bavaria, I believe. I probably just made that up, but I'm going to go with it right now. So
Certainly better than
if that stimulates some emails coming into the show, then I'll take the hit. Okay. No, but actually, Berliner Weiss is a usually low alcohol content, high acidity sour beer from the Berlin area. When they serve it in Berlin, generally they serve it with a fruit or herb syrup that comes alongside it that they will pour into your
fresh fruit
glass.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and prepare it almost tableside.
Yeah, and I can't say it in German because I failed high school German. But the 2 main syrups, one is bright red, and one is bright green. So they will ask you, do you want it green or red? This particular one has a lot of blueberries infused in it. It doesn't fully come through in the color, but it actually looks like a glass of, I would say, grapefruit juice. It comes out.
Very much so. It's a very light pinkish orange. Yeah.
And as far as the style, as far as Berliner Weiss, the style goes, this is actually definitely on the sweeter side. The acidity is not as prevalent, but I think if you were trying to introduce someone to drinking Berliner Weiss, this would be a good step into that style.
What is going to be your SUDS rating then for the Justin Blabber here?
I gave it a 4.
A 4? The body should really not make that sound. So, Julieanna, did you have a chance to try Justin Blabber, and what did you think of it?
I did, and unlike a lot of things about Justin Bieber, I did like the Justin Blabber beer a lot. It's really flavorful. But it's really refreshing too, like a Berliner Weiss would be. And for those that are interested in some sour beers but don't have that fear of something being overly tart, the blueberry that's in this kind of softens it a bit, if that makes any sense. So, whatever. As
Dave was nodding his head.
Right, exactly. I enjoyed this beer, and I think it's a good introductory beer into the world of sours. And interesting with blueberries, because I have not seen a lot of Berliner Weisses with blueberries added. You know, usually it's a strawberry. Sometimes I've tasted a mango, but I enjoyed it a lot. And the color rocks. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's a good color.
What's your SUDS rating going to be then?
Giving it a 4.
A 4 as well. A body should really not make that sound. So I had a chance to check out Justin Blaber here as well. You know, I think the first thing that hit me was the aroma and smelling this beer. And, you know, it was, you both looked over at me like I was having some mental fit of some kind. And it was just one of those moments where I'm like, I've smelled this. I can't, what is that? And finally I figured it out. It smells like a sour pop. Sour pop popsicle is the thing that hit me from the aroma. Very sweet grapefruit. A very cool combination of flavors. I can't say that I've had anything like this with a point of regularity. I've had a lot of Berliner Weiss, and you know, I've had some that have been infused with the fruit and the syrup. And that usually takes an awful lot for me to get through that experience. My palate's just not there. I know it's a very popular thing to do, you know, with that style of beer in Europe, and they consider that actually the proper way to enjoy it. This particular beer, I just flat out well made.
Yeah.
You know, I think for some people that have had some Berliner Weiss that maybe they haven't found the right flavor, I would definitely put this in the lineup and tell people to try it out. My SUDS rating for Justin Blaber is going to be 4 as well. And it's pretty wild for this crew. You know, as well honed as you know your palates are, even for a Berliner Weiss to stack up against all the beers that we've had, you know, all 12 of these, and for all of us to both rate this very well, that says an awful lot for a Berliner Weiss, because I can see that it just basically gets lost, you know, in all these heavy, you know, coffee infused and hop infused beers that are in front of us. Usually a Berliner Weiss just dies on the palate, you know, and it really held up really well. One of the comments that I had that we were talking about here in the break was the Justin Blaber and the Imperial Biscotti break were right beside each other in our lineup of tasting, and they're actually right here in front of me, right beside. And I felt like it was the perfect breakfast combo. It was literally like having, you know, your morning coffee and your morning grapefruit, you know, right beside each other. And I've actually tasted them both right beside each other, you know, as we've been chatting here as well. And I thought, you know, just really both fabulous beers and worthy of our rating. So we were chatting a little bit before we got on this episode about, you know, some of the choices that each of the brothers have made about, you know, what they've been doing and the difficulties with Gypsy Brewing and the ability of producing a great product when you're hopping from one facility to the next. Julieanna had the tip-off question to me, which is, I think you asked me which one do I like, or which of the Mikkeller beers do I like, right? Mm-hmm. And that was, you know, part of my observation was just, you know, I think anytime you're doing contract brewing or gypsy brewing, and you're walking into somebody else's facility basically with your own recipe, you have a vision of what you expect that to be based on your homebrew experience and doing it in a small batch. And then you move into a contract brewing situation where your ability of control is probably actually more the case through the entire brewing process, the ability of controlling flow of the ingredients, temperature of ingredients, the elements of air as they're being introduced and moving between various components of the brewing process that you would not have in a homebrew setting. Mm-hmm. Where Evil Twin is, they're still doing contract brew, but they're more down to like 2 or 3 facilities that they're actually doing contract brew in as well. And so I think from a beer, you know, I guess when I think which brother is making the better beer, I think from the point of Mikkeller is certainly presenting itself in the most challenging situation by hopping from place to place and having to deal with such a wide range of ingredients. So I think that requires a tremendous amount of skill to pull that off. Do I think that's actually producing better beer?
Requires a lot of trust too, I mean, with the individual breweries.
Absolutely. Both of you are home brewers, and I know you've, had to the point where you've worked with contract, with other large breweries as well and taking your recipes. I mean, there is a certain amount of trust that you're engendering whenever you hand your recipe over to somebody else, right?
Well, there is, but the thing that I find really interesting about both Evil Twin and Mikkeller is that, okay, with Evil Twin, like for instance, the Justin Blaber, it was brewed at Westbrook, and Westbrook is known for their sour beers. They're known for, kind of going outside the box. So I think in that beer, it's a combination of, what Evil Twin and Westbrook are bringing together. As with what Mikkeller's been doing with some of their beers. It's that nice symbiotic relationship with what you as the master of the recipe is bringing into it, and then what the contract site is also lending to itself as well. So, there's a fine line there, and it's nice when a symbiotic relationship can really come together. As with the Justin Blaber, I think one of the reasons why we rated it so well was not just because of the beer style being a good Berliner Weiss, but from where the two companies were coming together and making a really great collaboration beer.
Yeah, and you can... I think that the passion of what they're doing is really bringing out the best in each other as well. And I think that's why I enjoyed the conversation, about the beer. This episode was inspired from a New York Times article talking about what was going on between the two brothers. I wanted to talk about their products and the beer that is really at the heart of, a lot of the feud. Each of these brothers is making a tremendous variety of beers. On part one of the questions we had was how many beers has Mikkeller produced just in 2013 alone? 124 different beers. I mean,
that's just crazy.
That is, I can't even imagine, even as a home brewer, making 2 or 3 different beers a week on average.
Right.
And that's, if you do the math, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
To
That's a tremendous amount. But, in a way, that's the greatness about being a gypsy brewer, is that you can handpick what styles of beer that you like and where you would like to have them brewed.
Have multiple breweries.
Yeah, exactly. So simultaneously, you could have, 7 to 14 beers brewing at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed, our discussion thinking about the challenges that each of these brewers is facing, because the way that they're going about doing what they're doing, there's a similarity, but there's a difference at the same time. And
I think, and I'd said this before, I think stylistically, Jeppe, Evil Twin, I think their beers are more to style, like the classification of a different style of beer. I think his are closer to the traditional guidelines in a lot of ways. That's not good or bad compared to Mikkeller. I think their beers,
which is interesting because Mikkeller was the one that actually went through more of an apprenticeship activity, with other, Belgian style breweries. And actually, I think he worked with a couple of Trappist breweries as well, where, Jeppe, he really ran a beer shop, and didn't really necessarily go through the same apprenticeship style of, learning to brew. His was more of a trial and error, where I think Mikkeller's was more of a learned art.
Yeah.
Art.
I don't know if maybe, because Mikkeller started first, Jeppe's beers are maybe an answer to Mikkeller's in a way.
Maybe. Well, I'm sure that we'll enjoy the Feud as well as the style of their beer making for several years, and so I think that is hopefully that is not the end of the story, and at some point in time they reconcile. As long as they reconcile and continue making great beer, I don't care.
Yeah.
With that, let's move on to our next question here on the Family Feud. Come on down.
Yes.
All right, question number 5 is, what is the name of the South Carolina brewery where Evil Twin is contract brewing? Team Mikkeller.
Westbrook.
Absolutely correct. Westbrook Brewing is where they are making a lot of the beers for Evil Twin.
I told her that answer.
Whatever. I knew it before you.
All right, Team Mikkeller, what beer do you would like to review for us here?
I would like to talk, and especially considering our conversation like 5 seconds ago, I really would like to discuss the Invasion Farmhouse IPA.
Ooh, how about that?
Now, one of the reasons why I want to talk about that is, you talk about Mikkeller learning about Belgian styles and Trappist style stuff. He did an invasion series into the United States. And to me, this is a beautiful version of a symbiotic relationship between two breweries. Aww.
I thought there was babies getting sick.
No. That was the beer angels embracing my comment.
That's a very different sound, Dave.
Okay, so this particular, the Invasion Farmhouse IPA, which is 8% ABV, just for letting you guys know, in case you haven't tried it yet, it was made in Alaska at Anchorage Brewing Company. Now, what I love about Anchorage is that they're known for their Brett beers. And so to me, this is the perfect collaboration. And, I believe that...
It's a long way to go to make a beer.
It is, but in the scheme of things...
Copenhagen to Alaska. Whew,
well,
If you go the other way, it's not as far.
Probably. But again, a great collaboration. And, when you talk about the brothers and being these, like, completely different personalities, I think Mikkeller is very methodical in who they decide to brew with. And so in making a farmhouse ale, this would be one of my top companies that I would want to brew with. That being said, I absolutely love this beer. Love it. I mean, it's refreshing. It's kind of like a lawnmower beer in a farmhouse sense. A beautiful color. That Brett flavor comes out, but it's not overwhelming, and I could drink this all summer long.
What's your SUDS rating going to be for Invasion Farmhouse IPA?
I'm giving this a 4.
How about that? A body should really not make that sound. Dave, did you have a chance to try the Invasion Farmhouse IPA?
I did. And I hate to admit it, but I agree with virtually everything she said.
Wow.
What was that?
Yeah. We're not recording this, right?
It's going to be played in posterity for the next 10 years, Dave. You're screwed.
Oh, I'll hear it. I'll hear it every day for the rest of my life anyways. No, but this is a really well-balanced beer. The Brett is there. It doesn't overpower anything. The hops are there. And, a lot of times, these Brett IPAs, they get a little funky, and they it's almost like they're trying to make them over the top. This one was made to be drinkable. It was made to be savored, and I think they got it right. That brewery in Alaska, I can't think of the name.
Alaska Brewing.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Funny.
Or was it Anchorage?
It's Anchorage.
Yeah, they're...
Oh, see, I knew it.
Anyways, I've had a couple beers from Anchorage, and they do know how to brew a Brett beer. So I think Mikkeller, one of the things they do is they're a little more broad about the number of breweries they work with. And I think you're seeing stuff like that with beers like this. And I also gave this a 4.
Wow, how about that? A body should really not make that sound. I had a chance to check out Mikkeller's Invasion Farmhouse IPA as well. And we chatted a little bit about this as well in advance. Julieanna asked me, of the Mikkeller beers that we had today, which were some of the ones that I liked, and this was actually in my short list as well. For anything, it was just taking a really simple beer and doing it very well. Some of my tasting notes are nice, clean, well balanced, just a hint of sour. I can't think of a better definition of a really great farmhouse ale than those simple words. For all the complexity of all of the beers that each of these brothers is making, to take on something that is what I would consider stylistically to be fairly straightforward and very simple, and do it so well and with such great quality, I think it says an awful lot to the ability of always going after high quality beer. At the end of the day, you can chase flavor many, many times over, but the simple ability of just making a really great beer at the end of the day, I really think that says an awful lot for the quality of this beer itself. So my SUDS rating for Mikkeller Invasion Farmhouse IPA is going to be 4 as well.
Very nice.
A body should really not make that sound.
Mike, when you're drinking beers like that, do you feel like that bit of like the Brett character adds to sort of it's not a word, but the refreshness, or how it it's more, it makes it more refreshing to drink? Well,
I think the word I was as you were asking the question I was going to go for is it has the ability of neutralizing your palate,
right?
Or polarizing it to the point where there's just not something that's off-putting about it. We always talk about balance, in beers, and many times the balance that you're chasing is between sweet and hoppy, or sweet and malty, or there's something that you're trying to basically balance out the sugar, element, within an alcohol product. And this is one of those beers where there's a balance between what could be sweet, what could be malty, and what could be sour. And the elegant balance between all of those is what I really enjoyed about the simplicity of saying, at the end of the day, it's just a nice general. I loved your comments, Julieanna, about describing this as a really great everyday beer. And unfortunately, I haven't seen this, bottled in a, smaller bottle variety, 16 ounce, or even a can. I've only seen it in a bomber. But I would love for them to run this, in a can. Yeah. I think this would be a great beer, to drop in a can. I just, I do think it is a really great session beer as well. So there's really great. Yep. There's great space right now, I think, for everything that I know about in the market, that I think this would do very well. Oddly enough, I can see this. I actually been enjoying Westbrook's Goes, quite a bit lately. And I can see this in a can in the Goes from Westbrook sitting beside each other, through the next, through the summer months to enjoy. I can think that would be a very good, 2 or 3 hours, enjoying both those. So.
But on a little side note, isn't that interesting how far we have come from having, and dare I say, a Coors Light, Bud Light, as the summer months, into these really extremely flavorful beer,
Well, but it seems-
lawnmower style beers for the
simple
summer.
and good and
Yeah.
good quality.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not just trying to wet my palate and kill some brain cells.
Right.
I'm actually enjoying the time with what I'm sipping as well.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
Well, and I think it's cool too that now you're getting really good beers in a can.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
we're talking about that too.
Well, we always talk about can as right now is picking up a lot of distribution, and we are huge fans of the can. I can't think of any downside in that distribution model. It works well for the breweries. It works well for consumers. It works
maintains
well,
the flavor.
It works well for
better.
the beer.
Yeah.
It does. It really does.
So if somebody think they were getting an inferior product in a can, I don't think they've given it another shot. So absolutely.
Future show, buddy.
I know. All right. So question number 6 is coming right up. Come on down. All right. Question number 6 and our last question here in the Family Feud is, what is the name of the beer store started by Jeppe, later to be taken over by Mikkeller? Team Evil Twin.
Obutekin? I don't know what that means. Or how
Minus
you
the
pronounce
translation.
it. Yeah.
Excellent there.
Obutekin?
Team, that's correct, yeah. So Mikkeller ran a beer store early on, even before Jeppe actually decided to get into creating beer. And that was the beer that he ran for quite a while.
Well, that's kind of what started the feud, I think, was that
who got to do what?
Jeppe was running the beer store, and then Mikkeller was his number one brand. And then Mikkeller started a bar down the street. It's like, man, how you going to do that to your brother, though?
Wow. So, tell us about the last beer that you have for us to review here,
Well, the
Dave.
third beer that I am going to talk about today is actually, I'm not a big fan of this style generally, but this is one that was so good that I felt like I had to. Ashtray Heart
Yes.
Man, wow, the smoke porter
is a
Can't
smoke
believe you
porter,
picked that.
and well, the thing about it is there were a couple that I was kind of bouncing back and forth that I might have talked about, but this one, because I don't generally drink smoked beers that much, this one, it was so well handled. A lot of times what's happened, and I've done this myself as a home brewer, you get a little heavy-handed with that smoke malt, and things go from a great beer to a great marinade very quickly. So
That's true.
I felt like they really did a great job of balancing the smoked malt with the rest of the malt flavor. It's a light-bodied beer, which makes it even more amazing that the smoke flavor doesn't take over. And I just felt like it really, if people, we talk about like what would be a good introductory beer to sours and things. This is a great introductory beer into smoked beers. Ashtray Heart, I gave it a 4.
Wow, a body should really not make that sound. Julieanna, I know you have certainly a lot of comments about picking a smoked beer. I know you're rather polarized about that.
I would like to say that I am very proud that my influence has influenced Dave to pick this beer.
Wow.
The reason why I say that is okay. For
Which Family Feud are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Will I ever take credit for being right for anything ever again?
probably not.
I think that's the
I
one.
knew I'd get the wrong button there. I had a 50-50
No,
chance.
the reason why I say this is, for those of you that don't know anything about me, I love Scotch a lot, and the type of Scotch that I like is the Irish Scotch.
She really loves Scotch.
I do. But I love that smoky, peaty flavor. And the moment that I tasted this, and you guys heard me, I was in love with this beer because it's the perfect degree of smokiness in a beer. And I just thought, oh my God, this is like so amazing. I want to make a beer just like this. So, but the flavor is balanced yet, though. You know, it's not overly smoky. Like, there have been a lot of beers that have been overly smoky. And when I saw the logo, you know, and the ashtray heart, I thought, this is just the perfect name for the perfect beer. So, that being said, for those of you that like smoky beers, this one is worth the trip to find it. And I give it a 4.
A 4 as well, but I should really not make that sound. Wow, of all of the beers that Dave picked.
You were not expecting this?
Go. This is a curveball.
My tasting notes around Evil Twin's Ashtray Heart. Yeah, I think the name definitely was right on target here. Very heavy smoke, a bit dry. I am not come around yet to the camp of good old gal Julieanna of enjoying smoked beers just yet, and so it's very difficult for me to get through. It just is overwhelming, the smoke that's in this. I think that part of it was, when somebody says porter, my brain, immediately resets to, okay, this is what I'm thinking of, with a porter.
Sure.
And even looking for some of those components of, just a hint of cocoa, of looking for something that has a light cola, quality to it.
Right.
That was not a sound effect. That was me reacting to having more smoke.
That was real, people. Yeah. That really just happened. The smoke just really overwhelmed my palate, and I really couldn't get through the rest of it. And so it just got lost, for me. My SUDS rating for Evil Twin Ashtray is actually going to be a 2.
Wow.
Was that a belch? So,
I
obviously need to go to Smoked Beer
101?
Academy.
Well,
will you talk to me like you did the other day for the SUDS? And Mike, this smoked beer is just for you today.
And Mike, you will learn to love this
like my
beer.
favorite kindergarten teacher teaching me how to enjoy smoked beer.
Well,
beer number 3 is going to be.
To be fair, recently we were judging that homebrew competition, and we had a smoked trout beer.
Yep.
And I think once you've had a smoked trout beer, nothing could ever be too smoky after that.
Yeah.
Or too trouty.
It opens up the palate even further.
Well, that's the end of our Family Feud questions in our show. And I had just a couple of things to throw out again for our discussion. I guess one is, are there any beers that we did not talk about that you wanted to review? I have one to throw out. What you guys are thinking about any? One of the beers that really caught my attention was Evil Twin Yang. There are a lot of beers in Evil Twin's lineup that have an awful lot of hop profile. We had Hop Flood in this, and it was right alongside Yang here, which is actually an Imperial double IPA. And I think one of the things that I liked about this was the blend of the hops that they picked. So there's 2 beers, Yin and Yang, that they have created. Basically, they use these to create a black and tan. Is how they tend to blend. And actually, I think Evil Twin has actually created a beer where instead of blending them at the point of enjoying them, they've actually put it in the bottle. They've blended the beers.
Yeah.
And I think they actually call it, I don't know, it's not called a black and tan. It's called, maybe it's just called Yin and Yang in a bottle, for all I know.
I think it is.
This was just a really great beer, and I really enjoyed it quite a bit. It was actually in my top 3. My SUDS rating for the Yang was actually going to be a 3 as well, but I thought worthy of our discussion. Any other beers that we didn't talk about that you wanted to offer up your tasting or ratings?
even though this is the enemy by saying this is Evil Twin, I really enjoyed the Hop Flood. And the reason why I did is that it's got that nice hop forward flavor, but you get that honey amber malty flavor in the backbone that I really enjoyed. Which is something that's hard to find in a true hoppy amber beer. So my props to Hop Flood.
What would be your SUDS rating on that then?
I'm going to give that a 4.
A 4? You should not make that sound. And, I think my comment about the Hop Flood is the one beer that we didn't have today that I've had that I thought was on par with that was Molotov Cocktail, which is an over-the-top, hopped up beer from Evil Twin as well. And, it's unfortunate we didn't have those right beside each other today, the Hop Flood and Molotov Cocktail, because I would say that the Molotov Cocktail, if I had to put it in a blind taste testing, I would put it up with Green Flash Palate Wrecker.
Sure.
Or the recent Cool Springs Pecker Wrecker.
Yeah.
And I would probably put Molotov Cocktail in there. These are beers that are just over-the-top IBUs. I mean, they're like swinging 120 IBUs. I mean, they're just bitter hop bombs all the way. This particular beer, the Hop Flood, reminds me of other things that are more along the lines of Dogfish, 120 minute, maybe just some other things that are right along the side of some other Stone, beers that I've had that are Imperial IPA style. Very good choice of hops in Hop Flood. Dave, any comments on this or any other beers that we didn't talk about?
Before I talk about another beer, I just want to say that I think it's kind of funny, I guess. In the article, Jeppe is kind of ripping on Mikkeller for making really big beers, like with Three Floyds, those big stouts that are too big and too sweet to drink.
Dark Lord.
Yeah, and then he makes these huge hop bomb beers that are, so you can tell the difference between the two brothers.
They're
one
completely
goes
opposite,
way to the malty sweetness kind of thing, and the other one goes into but they're both making these really incredible beers. The one beer we didn't go over, yes, and I'm going to the enemy side again, I guess.
Yes,
is the Doppelbock. What's it called? Frelsner. Yeah, and I think the only bad thing I would say about that beer is that the body's a little thick for me for that style, but it's a big malty beer and it's very well balanced, very delicious, and I think it's something that people should really try. I would give that beer a 4.
Well, it was really great chatting about all these beers. And, if anything, it was just very interesting seeing a family feud like this take out, being in the marketplace as well. And I know we've talked about, some of these beers, or which beers, would you go back to? I think was the question you threw out to me, as we were talking about this Julieanna. And, part of me, I was really leaning towards Evil Twin, just because part of, I think a lot of that is just because availability of the product has been a bit more elusive for the Mikkeller beers that I wanted to go after. My best friend was in San Francisco this week, and I kept on telling him, you have to go to the Mikkeller bar. I mean, I have heard people just talk about this place as, almost a rite of passage for beer geeks, if they're in the San Francisco area, that they actually have to go there. So I haven't had a chance to talk with him since he's come back, but I'm hoping he's come back with some good stories, that he'll share with me that I'll get to, or maybe a beer or two.
I was going to say, hopefully he comes back with some good beers he'll share with you.
If anything, to hop in the car and go down to Alabama, it's an excuse to go down there to pick up some more great Mikkeller, or Evil Twin for that matter.
If they'll let you back in.
I doubt it. They'll probably stop me at the border and go, you know what, you're banned.
You turn around, boy.
That's right. We're going to run you out of town for sure.
We don't like your kind around here.
I have talked about Alabama and their, ability to procreate in a, strange and unorthodox manner. Well, a really great show, and I really enjoyed our discussion about the beers, about the brothers, about all of this. It was just it was a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys had a great time too.
We had an awesome time.
Definitely.
I've never had a bad time with beer and you two, so ever. All right, so let's wrap up our show for today. I really want to thank our listeners for joining us for this show. You can catch all of our episodes online on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, Uncle John's Basement and his 3 dead dogs, and Spreaker, our native media host. You're still wondering, where is this place? Now I've thrown in 3 dead dogs.
Now there's dogs are dead. What's going on?
It's a strange basement. That's all I have to say.
Do they have a gas leak or something?
It must be.
Yeah.
A spillover of bad beer. Our terrestrial radio stations are praying that we would cut our episodes in half and talk about beer less. If you'd like to hear this show on your favorite radio station, we would ask you to send us a 6-pack of beer, a keg of beer, any beer, and send them a note and copy us as well. Would be a great idea. You can reach us anytime online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. I almost forgot my own address there. Where am I? Anyway,
What are you doing?
what am I doing?
What's my name again?
What's my name? What's my name?
What's his name?
It's a Beatles song. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day, as well as spew tons of crap on this episode. Our Twitter handle is @SipSudSmokes. Our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of great news. You can always drop us a comment on Facebook as well as catch up with all of our hosts and as well as the show as well. Listen, if you're listening to this show online, do us a favor. Take the time to rate this episode. That's a huge help to us. Hopefully you're sitting back, enjoying a really great beer, and if you just take the time, rate this episode, drop us a note. That's a really big help to us. We enjoy seeing your feedbacks, of good or bad. Feel free to send all the derogatory comments about Dave to Dave, and all the good comments about Dave to Julieanna.
She'll be so jealous.
I want to thank my co-host for joining me for the Family Feud. It was really great to have you both here for the Family Feud. Hopefully you had a great time. Go to Gal Julieanna. Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening, and drink more beer.
Good old boy Dave. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, and she just stole my line.
You both have got to come up with a good tagline. I definitely have one. This is good old boy Mike. I'm going to ask you to join us once again and keep on sipping.
This has been a one-tan-hand production of Sip, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.